Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Almost morning. Not far from it. Good morning, good evening, good evening. Hey, Megan, what you doing up this late? But thanks for joining. How are you? Tell my little snuggy bug I said hello. Thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out with me this late evening. I'm gonna try to make this quick before I go to bed. I wanted to talk about this little thing that I have been thinking about. I've been thinking about for a few days, and it's about basically being in your feelings. Right? We feel some type of way sometimes, just throughout the day, and there are certain things that causes us we may not think about it or know it or realize it, that invokes feelings in us. You know, we have people, sounds, different types of communications that invoke feelings. But one of the main things that invokes feelings in us is music and what we watch. Mommy Time Zay has crashed out. The country wears him out. I am so glad. I bet he's having a good time and they are enjoying him. Tell your mother and everyone I said hello. I'm sure he's having a good time. We miss him here. We miss my little chunky grandson here. So we're looking forward to you guys coming back and having a good time. But I was driving in my car. You know me. If you've ever watched my scopes, you know they're always talking about personal experiences that can probably help you out too. These are my personal experience, but they're life experiences, and I'm sure I'm not the only one experiencing them. I was driving in my car. I want to say I was coming from school, probably on Wednesday, and I had taken all my CDs out the car so I could only listen to the radio. I have an older car, so I don't have XM radio, so all I have is the local stations. So I'm listening to the radio, and there's a song that comes on, and my mind immediately goes back to April 1994, Meridian, Mississippi, in the smoke pit in Beverly Hills, with a guy whose name is simply Cool. Okay, we talk about sometimes how we feel some type of way, and we don't realize how much music and what we watch have an effect on how we feel. Immediately when I heard this song, it made me think about this guy named Cool. Now, Cool was exactly that. That was his name. No one called him by his real name. His name was Cool. 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 I remember when I first saw this guy. He was buff. He was handsome. He walked cool. He had this swag that just was cool. And I remember I went on a date with this guy, and we played this song. And every time I hear this particular song, no matter where I'm at in life, no matter where I am in the country, every time I hear this song, I think about this particular guy. I mean, we wonder why when we hear certain songs, we feel some kind of way. I had a conversation with someone once who said that music has no effect on your life. Like, music cannot make you think negatively or positively. Well, I beg to differ with that. Even with the music, hip hop or rap music today, it's so much different than what it was back in the 90s when I actually listened to it. The words, you know, I'll just say that Lifestyle song by Young Thug. Tell me how many actual words are spoken in that song. I'm going to say about 3. I know Lifestyle is one of them. But that's really all I can think of, because I've never actually listened to the song all the way through, because it just drives me crazy. But if we think about music, being able to invoke feelings and emotions in us, it can. There's another song by a woman named Lisa Fisher, who started out as a background singer for Luther Vandross. She had this song back in, I want to say, the early 90s, called How Can I Ease the Pain. And I was in a relationship at that time. Okay, yes, I know. Early 90s, I was in a relationship. And I had broken up with this guy. Every time I hear that song, my mind, my emotions go back to that time period immediately. Like as soon as I hear it, it goes back to that time period. When we think about music, what are we listening to? What are we putting in our ears? What are we putting inside of us? Because what goes in comes out, right? It's just like with food. What you put in your body, what's not filtered and used as nutrition comes out, right? Same thing with music and what we watch on television. Some shows, I remember watching a show, it's probably been about 3 or 4 years ago, and I would get so upset watching this particular show. And I thought, why am I mad? Why do I not even like this person now? One of the actors I don't even like anymore, right? Because of a character they played. How crazy is that? Not liking a person because of a character. That character invoked some type of emotion in me that caused me to not even like the person. That's the power of visual and audio messages, music, and what we watch on TV. So when we talk about being in our feelings, there are outside things that we hear, that we see, that causes us to feel a certain way. So I don't want to take up much of your time tonight. I will continue this at a later date. I just wanted to start this conversation about what are you listening to and what are you watching. One way, I've been celibate for a couple of years now. Let me tell you how I've done it so far. I don't put myself in situations where I'm tempted. I just don't go out by myself with a handsome man. Why? Because I'll be looking at him like a juicy steak with a chocolate shake on the side. Anybody knows me know I love chocolate. I can't sit in front of a handsome man and not size him up and imagine, man, I wonder what sweat looked like glistening all over his body. I be wanting to sip. Let me have my little juice. I be wanting to sip. I wonder what that tastes like. You just have to be real with yourself. If you can be real with yourself, you can avoid situations where you see a man and you look at him and you size him up. I was very good at that. I still am. I just don't like to put myself in positions where I do that. Stay away from seriously handsome men, because all I would do is stare at them and have impure thoughts about them. I try my best to stay away from situations that put me in a position to think certain ways or to hear certain things. Communication. That's another thing. I don't talk about certain things. Why? Evil communication corrupt good manners. Can I tell you? I used to be one of the best trash talkers back in the day. I could talk a man up out his clothes in a minute. I could have him gone before he even, okay? But I realized that was something I was good at. I know at this point, if I do that, he and I will both be in a bad situation. Well, bad for me, probably not for him, because he probably will care less. But the point is, what are you talking about? My ex sent me a text message about 2 weeks ago. I had to shut him down. Say, look, I'm trying to keep the standard up here. If you ain't willing to buy the farm, I don't even need you trying to negotiate when you don't even have the credentials to purchase the farm. Okay. Point being, what are you talking about? Evil communication can corrupt good manners. What I mean about that is, if you're having conversation that makes you, how do I put this in good words? Moist, hot, stiff, rigid, you might want to shut that conversation down, because it's going to get your mind wandering. It's going to get your body fluids going. And it's once your mind, because everything starts here and then it moves into your heart. Once it gets in your heart, then you act it out. So you got to stop it here. You got to stop the communication in your mind, right? Once those thoughts come to your mind, you got to shut them down. When there's a saying that says you have to take every thought or control every thought and put it into submission, right? You got to take these thoughts and put them into a place where they can be taken care of and you can handle them. You can control them and they don't control you. Okay? You don't want to let your thoughts, because thoughts are constantly bombarding you. You get thousands of thoughts running through your head all day long. And you categorize them whether you know it or not. You put them in the keep file, the throwaway file, save for later, act on right now file. You do that. Unconsciously, you don't know that you're doing that, but you do it. So when these thoughts come, let's just say this communication, I'm sitting across from this handsome man, and we start this communication, right? About perhaps we dated once and we start reminiscing about old times. The more we reminisce and conjure up old conversation about old actions, old things we used to do when we hung out, the more your mind is going to remember more, and you're going to have feelings associated with that also. Am I right? Yes, I am correct. You don't want to continue to have that conversation, because then you start thinking about, I wonder what it's like now. You might not say that at the time, but you sure are thinking it. Can you be honest with yourself? Oh, I can be honest with me. I already know what I can and can't handle. So I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm going to be looking at this dude like, know what you can handle and know what you can't. Don't put yourself in positions where you are vulnerable to act out things that you normally wouldn't act out, or that you don't want to act out. Some things are easy to avoid, some things are not. But guess what? When you are in a situation, there's always a way out of the situation. You just got to take that route. You got to think about, I don't owe this person anything. I got to get out of this situation. But I want you to remember, how we get here is what we listen to. When you think about music, old Anita Baker songs, old Luther songs, maybe today's music, Trey Songz songs, or honest with you, I can't name hardly any of these new artists. I just can't. But the music, what are they talking about in the music that you can relate to? What are they talking about in the music that make you think, you know what, I was dealing with that in my relationship too? Or, you know what, I sure would like to have that type of situation with my girl or with my dude. What are you listening to? Because you are taking that stuff in. Remember, what you put in is filtered some and it comes out. How is it coming out? Are you acting it out? Or are you letting it out as waste? What you doing with it? Your ears and your eyes. Hey, India! What you doing up this late, girl? Thanks for joining. Thanks for the hearts. I know it look kind of crazy. It's late in the night. My hair, just dyed or something. But I'm talking about, what are you listening to and what are you watching that makes you have these feelings? And one of the first examples I gave was when I was in A school back in the early 90s, April 1994. I remember it like it was yesterday. The first time I ever went out with a dude named Cool. Cool was his name. Cool. And he was that. He was cool. He was built like a brick house. He was stacked. Muscles was popping everywhere. He had that side smile, like, you just would melt. Every time I hear a particular song, I think about this dude. So the point, the point I'm trying to make is just cool. That was his name. It was just cool. And he embodied that word like 1,000%. That was it. But what we listen to and what we watch invoke emotions. Like, I'm sure there's a song that'll come on and you get excited. Be like, oh, that's my jam. That's an emotion. Or when you hear a song, then it kind of makes you feel a little sad. I remember the first time I had heard Leela James' song. Let me try to see what it is. What is that Leela James song? I don't know, but when I heard the song, it started making me think about marriage. Like, ooh, when I get married, I'm gonna play that song. Like, hold on, I ain't even dating nobody. But it took my mind in that direction. I love her. I love her. Her voice is so authentic and raspy and just great. But music, that's why they say it's a universal language, because it invokes emotions. We all have emotions, right? So invokes is something in us that we all can relate to. And especially love songs. If you've ever been in love or loved someone, you can relate to those songs. When we have dance music, people who like to dance and party, we can relate because we like to. Okay, I'm a little bit older, so I don't know any new dances. Whatever. Okay, but you know what I mean. So the idea of these emotions that are caused by what we hear and what we see, we have to be mindful of what we put in our ear gates. And I talked about how it's just like what we eat. What you eat, some of it goes in, right? Some of it is absorbed into your body. It's nutritious for you. It's good for you. It builds up muscle. It may build up your health. But some of it is just waste, right? And what happens with waste? It has to be expelled, right? So the same thing with music. You don't want to be continuously putting things in that's invoking negative emotions, making you feel some kind of way, always making you sad. Right? You don't always want to be listening to A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke, though that's a wonderful song. You don't want to put on something that's going to make you feel depressed. Not saying that it will, because I'm sure it doesn't make everyone feel depressed. Yes, we have to be careful about what we feed our soul. Absolutely correct, India. Yes. So it's about what we feel, because we have these feelings, these internal or external emotions that we act on. We think, what you think, therefore you are. So it makes us love and makes us hate, it makes us cry, it makes us laugh. These emotions that we get from external sources, we have to be careful what we listen to. You can be listening to some stuff or watching some stuff where you feel like, hey, I think I should be living that lifestyle. Or you can be listening to Young Thug lifestyle, though once again, lifestyle is pretty much the only word I know in that song. Why is it popular? I don't know. But I guess some people would say the beat, but I don't know. But the point is, when we listen to music and we watch different things, we have an idea and we compare ourselves to these things. First, music is emotional. You funny. Music causes emotion, and when we watch certain shows or certain things, we either compare our lives. I'll say even certain shows. I don't watch certain shows that have physical or sexual scenes, because I don't need to see somebody else making me all hot and bothered. Maybe that's a better word than moist. I don't want to be watching a scene where I'm sitting thinking, reminiscing about somebody else. Thinking about, I wonder what so-and-so doing tonight. I don't want to put myself in that position if that's not the path I want to go down, right? I don't want to be watching somebody else kissing and rubbing and connecting if that's not I don't want that scene to emotions in me, right? We don't want to be watching soft porn on TV because that's basically what it is nowadays, you know, because we can't say that it doesn't, maybe some people it don't, but it doesn't affect you in some type of way. So you want to watch out what you're looking at and what you're hearing. Our senses, we have our five senses for a reason. We have the capability to see things. We have the capability to hear things. We have the capability to smell, even scents. You know, there's a particular scent that every time I smell it, I think about my very first boyfriend. Every single time, I'm like, that smells like him. I don't think about anyone else but him. So even our scents take us back to a place or take us to a place. These things are on our long-term memory, and we don't realize it, but it takes us back. Music takes us back to a place, or takes us to a place, and what we see takes us to a place where we remember or we think about things. And once we start thinking, if we don't stop it from here, once it gets here in our heart, it's all over. All over. I'm going to give you this one last example and then I got to go because I love you and I don't want to take up much more of your time. There was, I want to say it was probably 1999. I was living in Virginia, came home to see my family visiting. And at that time, I say, okay, I'm going to be celibate. I'm going to do things right. Changing my lifestyle. I want to get things right. I'm going to do it. I had an ex-boyfriend who came by my house. And he was like, oh, I'm coming by and pick you up. We're going to hang out. We ain't just hanging out. This is what he told me. I'm not going to say it the way he said it, but he was like, we ain't just hanging out. I'm going to break you today. And I was like, dude, no. Then he was like, okay, we're going to hang out. Let's see how this going to go. And I thought, I got this. I got control of me. Well, can I tell you by the end of the night I was broken? Let me tell you how that happened. Communication. The more he talked about what we used to do, the more I thought about what we used to do, and the more I contemplated doing what we used to do. Is that real talk or what? I'm just being honest. So we have to remember, what type of communication are we even having with other people? You don't want to keep reminiscing about old things because you might be back in that old position. That's how it goes. That's right, India. People don't, we don't think about those things when we're doing them, but it's true. I had no intentions on reminiscing the way I did with that young fella back then. But guess what? I ended up doing, because the more I talked about it, the more I thought about it, and those thoughts just trickled down to here in my heart when I say, you know what? Let's just go and get this one more round and then we'll be through. It happens. Now, we can bounce back from those situations, but we can avoid those situations too if we just cut the conversation short. Like, hey, yeah, you know what? That's how it used to be, but it ain't like that now. We can either talk about something else or we can move on. Simple. You don't want to entertain those types of conversations. You don't want to entertain music that have you thinking about getting in the bed. R. Kelly, I'm going to make your legs shake or something like that. I heard that song and I was thinking about it. I was like, then I was like, hold on, Sheila. Get it together, sister. Get it together. You have to remember. Bring it down. You have to remember. Here, even what you say. You got to be careful with touch too. These little hands, somebody massaging your shoulders, touching you gently on your skin, rubbing your thighs. I'll save that for the next conversation, how I just jumped all in the deep end of the pool without a paddle, without a float or anything, and end up almost drowning on that type of situation. Anyway, I love you all. Remember, your feelings can be, hello, 3296. Your feelings can be invoked by music, by what you watch, and the communication that you have with others. And if you don't want to go down a certain path, it's so much better not to listen to music that's going That's why I listen to gospel music. I can't go wrong with that. You sure right, Indy. That was my mistake. I took all my gospel music out of the car and I just had the radio. And as soon as I heard Lauryn Hill and D'Angelo, I thought about COOL. Took me right back to April 1994, Meridian, Mississippi. So be careful what you listen to. Be careful what you listen to. Be careful what you talk about. And be careful what you watch, because you can take yourself down a path that you don't want to go down. And if you're trying to live your life a certain way, there's ways that you can always avoid. Remember, there's always a way out. Any situation you're in, there's always a way out. You just got to be brave enough to take it. Okay? So if you did not get the whole message tonight, watch me on Katch.me. You know, it's on Periscope for 24 hours. So share me if you like. I would like you to share me with your friends. Share me with your followers. Share me on Facebook, Twitter. Thanks for watching again. We'll pick up this conversation again tomorrow. Thanks, Indy. You know I love you. You know I love you, right? Thank you. Hey, T, what are you doing? I didn't know that was you. It's good to see you. So share me, watch me. We're going to talk about this some more, because I just like to be real about the things that I've done, so that people, you know, because I think people relate more to actual experiences than something I heard about. This stuff I actually did, right? Okay. These are things that I have actually done in my life. So I had to learn the hard way. Okay. I don't want you to learn the hard way. I'm trying to help you out. I had to learn the hard way. Evil communication or that sexual talk will take you down a path you do not want to go down. Okay. Listening to music that make you moist, you don't want to do that. Watching people on TV snuggle up, kiss and hug, and bodies all close. You don't want to watch that kind of stuff. You don't want to do that. So let's pick this up tomorrow, hopefully at a better time. But you know what? I appreciate you for even watching me tonight. So I love you and I thank you for your time. Remember, you are beautiful. You are smart. You are creative. You are intelligent. You are wise. And you are loved. One more thing. You're needed, because you are the seed carriers in the earth. Guess what? Nothing can come forth without you, ladies. Nope. You carry the seed. And man, guess what? You are strong. You are wise. You are powerful. You are mighty. You are smart. You are intelligent. You are creative. And guess what? Your seed is needed too. We need your seed to go from generation to generation, because you're the seed planters in the earth. If no seeds are planted, none can be carried and brought forth, right? So we need you and you need us. So, ladies, I love you. Thanks for watching. Go back and do the replay. Share me with your friends. I love you. Thanks for watching. I love you much. Oh, yeah, don't forget the hearts. Good night, Indy. I love you.